Hello everybody and welcome back to Triple Crown Wargaming with me, the Chieftain. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that I'm sure a lot of people have had on their minds with the old world being released. Just over a month, just coming up to about 2 months ago, I think it was. Oh, just come up 2 months ago in which it was announced, and then about I'm going to say 6 weeks in. Which doesn't seem like a long time, to be honest. It seems like it's been a lot longer than that. Anyway, I'm diverging. We are going to be talking about the state of infantry in the old world, and I think we all realise that that infantry have taken a bit of a pummeling in terms of how they are viable in the old world, and that's due to combinations of the lack of step up and support and attacks. I feel like in the old world, in fact, you only get one rank for attacks. And also with the abundancy of how good cavalry and quick moving swift stride stuff are against them, because the idea that if you charge over 3 inches, you're getting +3 to your initiative, which puts you over the initiative of a majority of your infantry opponents. And seeing as there is no step up, as soon as you kill enough, they can't attack you back, and it makes infantry just feel like more of a roadblock than it does anything else with a standard unit. Take, say, a humble unit of state troops, even veteran state troops. I want to be honest; they're probably not going to be getting a lot. They're probably not going to be charging a lot of the time, if at all. I don't think I've actually seen a unit of state troops in any game I've watched or played. I don't think I've ever seen any unit of state troops actually make the charge. They're always there to get charged. So, yeah, the state troop doesn't do particularly well. I've seen units of elite infantry, such as my own Bestigors. They just get charged and just get a bit mulched. So infantry are in a bit of a sad state at the moment. They're still good. I still love the look of an infantry block, but they are a little bit hampered by the cavalry, the abundance of how good cavalry and monsters and flying monsters are, and the like. So today we're going to be talking about how to try and make the infantry viable again in the old world. And it's going to be a bit of a rough one. It's going to be a bit of a tough topic, I feel, because not a lot of armies can pull off these tricks. I'm going to be talking about 3 different I'm going to say subsections of this video. 3 different things I'm going to be talking about today is going to be basically how to make your infantry super survivable, and how to do that easily and manageable in your game's 8th edition. I'm going to be talking about how to make your infantry quicker than even a charging unit. And then I'm going to be talking about how to even the odds by using some dirty tricks that you can pull off in game with some certain types of infantry units. So, without further ado, I think I'm going to start off by talking about trying to make your infantry units super survivable. And the example I'm going to take here is, weirdly enough, it's not going to be from a dwarf unit. It's going to be actually from high elves. And I'm going to be talking about the Sword Masters of Hoth. Now, on their own, they are an incredibly good unit. They are a very, very good unit. Their stat line makes them really good. Weapon skill 6, initiative 6. It's an incredibly high initiative to start off with. And when you take into account of elven reflexes, means they're going to be striking at initiative 7 in the first round of combat. So initiative 7, if your opponent is initiative 3 base and they're charging 3 inches, they're still going after the Swordmaster. So you've got the initiative part down. Now, the super survivability of the Swordmasters, in which I've seen in the past and played against, and it's not particularly fun, is when you add in a High Elf Mage on the Law of High Magic. I think we all immediately know where I'm going to be going with this one, and that's by making your Swordmasters ethereal. You can't get more survivable by making your infantry so they can't be wounded by non-magical attacks. It's just simple as that. With the spell, I'm going to quickly try and find it. I've got the Swordmasters book open in front of me. I'm going to try and find the high magic spell and what it is called. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Scroll. There it is. Walk Between Worlds is a spell, and it is the #1 spell in the Law of High Magic from the main rulebook. It's cast on a 10 until your next start of turn sub phase. The caster any unit they've joined gain the ethereal and a reserve move special rules. Now, you might be saying, oh, it's all well and good, but as soon as you're in combat, you can't cast a spell anymore because you can't cast spells into combat. That's where you're wrong, because the spell is cast on the caster. It's a ranged self spell, and those spells you can cast whilst you're in combat. So, and it's until your next start turn sub phase, and it's not a remains in play, which is crucial, because if it remains in play, your opponent might be able to turn it off in their own strategy phase during the conjuration sub phase. And as I said, you can't get more survivable from a unit than just making them so they can't actually be wounded at all. You can hit them, you just can't wound them. And that's where it comes down to. Now, in terms of magical attacks coming back their way, yes, there are a few magical attacks. There are a fair abundance of magical attacks out there. I'm looking at stuff like Warriors of Chaos. Like the general Warrior of Chaos itself has a magical attack because it comes with enforced weapons if they don't use a halberd, if they're just using hand weapons. And then you got the likes of magic missiles and all that sort of jazz. Now, the magic missiles you can try and stop by using the Wizard of Cast spell to try and dispel the spell. Simple as. You can try and do that. The High Elves, I believe, have access to a legit old school dispel scroll. The Sigil of Assyrian. Yeah, they have access to an old school dispel scroll. It is 40 points, which is spenny. It is a bit expensive. But then it's also a extremely common item. You can take as many as you want in your army. So at the end of the day, any spell, any magic missile has been coming your Swordmaster's way, you can use a Sigil of Assyrian to say, yeah, you're not going to have that, because it can't stop perfect invocations. And the fact you only roll 2 dice for magic means that rolling a double 6 to get a perfect invocation isn't all that often. So the caveat that you can't use it on perfect invocations makes the Sigil of Assyrian really good and protects yourself from magic missiles. In combat, against magical attacks in combat, as I've already discussed, the Swordmasters themselves have a ridiculously high base initiative, and with Elven Reflexes means that even a charging unit of Warriors of Chaos is going at the same time as the Swordmasters. Worst case scenario, they're going at the same time. I mean, at that point in time, you're just trading blow for blow, and I'd honestly put the Swordmasters out winning that combat because the Warriors are hitting them on 4s, whereas the Swordmasters are hitting on 3s. It's a really, really horrible unit to try and deal with. I've played against it a few times, and as soon as they cast that spell, you're like, well, I can't really do much against it at this point in time. If anyone had the unfortunate task of having to fight a unit of Calm Wraiths, say in 8th edition, now they weren't as decent of a unit as the Swordmasters were, but they were still an ethereal unit. If you didn't have the tools to deal with an ethereal unit, you weren't dealing with that unit. You were avoiding it, or you were feeding it stuff to be able to just hold it up. So this is where I'm coming to affect the idea of making a unit super survivable, is trying to make this tactic here. Now, High Elves aren't the only ones that can do this. I believe the Lizardmen can do it, because they do have access to high magic. But the only person that has access to high magic is your Slann Mage Priest. So you can join them to a unit. You have to stick them on the end of the unit, but you can still make your Temple Guard ethereal. Which Temple Guard, Saurus, a unit of Croxigor, make them ethereal, they just can't be hurt. So by making these infantry units that sort of tanky, and by tanky I mean just can't be wounded at all, they are invincible against pretty much anything in the game, means that you can just go from there. You don't have to worry about taking hits because you're not taking any wounds from said hits. And then there's other bits and pieces saying, oh, this tactic might not work well, she might just not roll the spell. Now that is fair, you might not roll the spell from high magic. If only there was a 30-point magic item from the main rulebook, from the arcane item called the Lore Familiar, in which you don't randomly generate your spells, instead you may choose the spells in which they know from their chosen lore. So it's a guarantee. You're paying 30 points for a guarantee. If you're High Elves, you take 30 points of Lore Familiar and 40 points on the Sigil of Assyrian for the spell scroll, and you've got 30 points to play around with for, say, a ward save or something along those sort of lines. Now, you really would have to be a level 4 to get this off with any decent cast. A 10 plus to cast is not going to be easy for a level 2. It's average. It only goes off averagely when you're a level 3 or higher. So you do have to worry about that sort of idea. But, again, it's the idea of, like, if you get it off, your opponents, unless they've got a tool to deal with it, your opponent's looking at it like, that's not going to go well for me. So, that's the point 1 on how to make it survivable, is by making it super survivable along those lines of the... say, the Swordmaster of High from the High Elves. Apologies, sorry for that. Other units, like, say, such as Just trying to think of units you can make super survivable. Just the abundance of wounds a model may have. That's not at that is at its base value survivable enough. So stuff like minotaurs and ogres, be they monstrous infantry, they are still infantry. So they are still struggling a little bit in what's looking to be a bit of a cavalry meta. But the fact they have 3 wounds apiece means that a solid unit of say 4 or 5 means they can take a decent amount of punishment, because a lot of units these days only have 1 attacker model. Because they're not getting supporting attacks either, means that they're not going to be getting they're not going to be taking a lot of hits. They still have to roll the hit, still have to roll the wound, and if you've got to save, you have to fail your arm save. So an abundance of wounds is at its base value. Abundance of wounds per model at its base value is making units survivable as well. So look into those sort of things. But if you're looking at say an ogre army, a beastman army, taking minotaurs in your core section because you're taking a doom ball as your general, in your ogre army you're all monstrous infantry as it is anyway. So you've got that to look forward to. But yeah, survivability. If you can do it, make them survivable. If you have any other examples making units super survivable, put that down in the comments below for me, guys. I want to know more examples. These are just the few that have sprung to mind myself. Now, my next point is going to be making your units quicker than your opponents. Even if they're charging, just try and make them as quick as possible by increasing initiative values and the like. And my main example I'm going to use here is, doesn't have to be this unit, but it's the best unit I think is going to be for this, and that is going to be Chaos Chosen. Now, Chaos Chosen are the elite of the Chaos Army. They are only 1 per army. It's not even a 1 per 1,000 choice, which I would have preferred, but 1 per 1 army, or 1 unit per army. And they have a decent stat line. They are an elite unit, so they have weapon skill 5, initiative 4, which is not high enough, but we're going to get into that in the points in a moment. And then they crucially have 2 attacks a model. Now, 2 attacks a model is a really good amount of attacks, because it just means that you don't have to have a massively wide frontage. You don't have to do the lion hammer tactic that my compatriot Scott has talked about in a previous video. You don't have to do the line hammer. You don't have to try and get as many models in the front rank as you can. They have 2 attacks a model. You can just take maybe 6 or so in the front rank, and you have enough attacks. You have 12 attacks at that point in time, which is more than enough to take out a front rank of an opposing unit. Now, you may be saying, Max, why are we taking Chaos Chosen? They're only initiative 4. They really aren't the quickest. If we're looking at quickness, you probably want to look at the Swordmasters again. And you're all right. The Swordmasters are quicker, and they're probably some of the quickest infantry in the game, even when they're getting charged. If it wasn't for the fact that there is a really, really good Chaos mutation, not even an item, it's a mutation, so no one can get rid of it because they don't count as magical items. It's Enchanting Aura, and this is you can take on, say, your Aspiring Champions, your Exalted Heroes, your Chaos Lords. Whoever's going to be going in that Chaos Chosen unit takes this item. And the item for enemy units engaged in combat with this character cannot use Strike First special rule. Really good, means that anyone that's got Strike First has to strike initiative order. And it goes on to say that any models that do not have the Strikes First special rule become subject to Strikes Last. Insane. It means that any units engaged in combat with the character is striking last. They're going initiative 1. Now, this is before modifiers, so they are going to be getting a charging bonus. Now, the charging bonus, it acts maximum is going to be +3. Without any other modifiers, it's going to be +3. If they're charging your Chosen, and they have no other initiative bonuses apart from the charging, they're going at the same time as your Chosen, which gives you another chance to be able to hold off the charge from it and then dish out damage. As I said, you have 2 attacks a model. You have enough attacks to be able to dish out the punishment enough to try and win the combat. So it's really, really good. If you've seen the most recent Free Council video, I do use the Chosen Enchant Aura combination. And I won't say how well they did, but they were probably the best thing in my army in that game. And then you can combine it with other bits and pieces. Like you can take a Demon Prince or a Chaos Sorcerer, put them on Lord Demonology, and take the Steed of Shadow spell. Steed of Shadows gives a unit fly 12. And at that point in time, you can then also march them 24 inches. Marching 24 inches basically puts you in front of your opponent's units. So you just fly them 24 inches in front of the opponent's best unit, force them to charge, otherwise they're going to get charged themselves, and then watch them become initiative 2, because they're only charging 1 inch. They're getting +1 to initiative, and then they're also going down to initiative 1. So they become initiative 2. And any spellcaster in the Chaos Army can take Demonology. It's not just the Demon Prince. I believe the Chaos Sorcerer can as well. I'll double check this for you guys. The Chaos Sorcerer can take Demonology, so you can take this. Again, you might be saying, oh, it's no guarantee that you're going to get that spell. You can take 30 points. You can take a spell. You can take the spell familiar from the main rulebook and guarantee that you're going to get that spell. Or if you want to play on a bit of a cheaper side, you can take lore familiars from the main rulebook. Spell familiar is the one from the Chaos item section. 15 points. You get an additional spell. You know, one more spell chosen in the usual way. That is normal for leveled wizardry. So you can almost guarantee you're getting 5 spells at the maximum level at level 4. You're getting 5 spells, so you're probably going to be getting that spell off that you want. So it's not all that often that you're not going to be getting that spell. Is what it comes down to, guys. Apologies, I'm just moving my recording device here. So yeah, it's just going to come down to the chosen. Put in front of your opponent's best unit, force them to charge, watch them go last, and then just reap the benefits. And that's not even taking into effect to stuff like the marks stuff. So you can take Master Nesh, you can give yourself +1 initiative, so you're initiative 5 in the first round, which just helps you basically make sure that you are going to be going first. There's stuff like Mark and Nurgle, which means that your opponent has to reroll their 6s when attacking the chosen, which is called 5. That basically means they're going to be hitting you on 4s, rerolling 6s. Really good there. You can even take the Mark of Khorne, give yourself 3 attacks a model. I mean, it's ridiculous how many attacks you can pump out of a chosen unit. So yeah, by doing that, that's how you make a unit quicker than your opponent's unit if they're going to be charging you. That's one of the best examples I can come up with, is the chosen with Enchanted Aura. Other examples out there are stuff like Tomb Guard. Tomb Guard are quite good, because you can take Tomb Guard with Mile Will Be Done from your Tomb King or Tomb Prince to give him plus D3 initiative. And you can also give him extra attacks and Hatred by to put in a Necrotex in there. Now, the maximum you go up to is initiative 6 at that point in time. But initiative 6 is probably the average initiative of 3. Means that a lot of charging units are going to be striking at the same time as you. And you're going to have more attacks and hatred. So, realistically, you should be winning the combat at that point in time as well. So, again, anything that increases your initiative in general, or against charging units, is key in this point in time. And then my last point I'm going to talk about here is going to be what I'm lovingly calling dirty tricks. Now, dirty tricks is basically anything you can do to make sure that your infantry win combat. Again, now this can be combined into the idea of making your troops super survivable by using the ethereal spell Walk Between Worlds on your Swordmasters, or by using Enchanted Aura. Both of these are dirty tricks. But there's other dirty tricks you can do by using magic weapons, magic abilities, and magic items. And the example I'm going to use here is going to come from the Dwarf Mountain Holds. Not often I get to talk about dwarves here, but they do seem pretty decent. In which you can take magic items and make them really, really good. So hammers themselves, weapon skill 5, initiative 3, 1 attack apiece. 16 points a model. They are very spenny for what seems like to be a very average stat line. Now they come with great hammers, and these aren't great weapons, these are just great hammers. They're strength +2, -2 AP, armor bane 2, magical attacks, and requires 2 hands. So the magical attacks is fantastic, because it means that they can even dish out the damage to ethereal units like those really annoying Swordmasters. Then they come with Stoic Defenders as well. In a turn in which it was charged by the enemy, not if they charged, if they were charged, a model with a special rule gains +1 initiative to its attacks and gains +1 modifier to its initiative and attacks characteristic. So at that point in time, your dwarves are striking initiative 4 with 2 attacks apiece, and strength 6, -2 to armor. Insane. And the dirty tricks I'm on about here with the dwarves here is going to be some of their banner runes. Now the banner runes, or the standard runes, are really good. We had some on one of our battle reports. I believe it was the Orcs and Goblins versus Dwarves. Now the one that is used, we're going to be looking at stuff like the Master Rune of Hesitation and the Rune of Confusion. So the Rune of Confusion, which is the cheaper of the two, any enemy unit that charges the front arc of a unit carrying a standard inscribed with the Rune of Confusion makes a disordered charge. Now, disorder charge means that you are not getting any initiative bonuses to your charge. Really, really good. I mean, the effect you're taking away your opponent's initiative bonuses, which are a crucial element to any sort of charge, means that you are going to be striking first at average. Because, again, I'm coming back to this, average initiative in this game is probably going to be around 3, if not 4. And you're getting charged. So you're getting +1 initiative as it is anyway. So you're going to be striking at the same time. So it's crucial that to have that sort of item, at least this item on your hammer as standard bearer, just to make sure that your units are striking at the same time, if not before your charging units. Now there is the caveat that you have to only be charging the front arc, but I'm sure you can defend your flanks with any decent sort of line blockage by using units, say Thunderers or Warriors. You can just use that sort of thing. Just protect your flanks so they aren't getting the initiative bonuses there from their side. And what's this one? And then you got the Master Ruin Hesitation as well. Master Ruin Hesitation: an enemy unit that charges the front arc unit carrying the standard is described with the Master Ruin Hesitation does not count as having charge for the purposes of choosing which weapon to use or any special rules it may have. I mean, that's just insane. Note that the enemy unit carrying this rune still counts as having been charged by the enemy unit. So that's like for, I suppose, if any charging benefits, like charging benefits for combat res. So this one, you're stripping away your opponent's lances. You're stripping away your opponent's chopper rule from the Orcs and Goblins army. What else is out there? You're stripping away impact hits. You're stripping away impact hits, which are devastating in the old world because they go initiative 10. To take something away something's impact hits means that they're going to be having to rely on their own basic attacks, which for a chariot is usually not enough. A lot of chariots do rely on impact hits. So, yeah, taking the Master Rune Hesitation on, say, your BSB is going to go in your Hammer's unit, and taking the Rune of Confusion on your Hammer's banner itself. This combination is a dirty trick, which quintessentially a dirty trick, which means that your hammers are doing a lot of damage. They're striking at basically the same time, and your opponent's best tactics are being stripped away from them because of the Master Rune Hesitation. So yeah, those are really basic. That's probably some of the best ideas I can come up with. Some dirty tricks there. Again, if you know any others that are better or on the same sort of level as that, let me know down in the comments, and then we'll go from there and we can add them to the list that we're coming up with. But really, that's going to be all we'll be talking about today, guys. Yeah, infantry are in a bit of an awkward position at this point. Infantry are struggling to survive against the cavalry charges, the flying monsters, the really quick, maneuverable stuff like chariots. They're struggling to make their mark. But they aren't entirely a dead unit. You can make infantry work. You have to work around. You have to really do work, or you have to really work towards making them do their job properly. And it's also going to come down to the idea that not every army is going to be able to pull these things off. Not every army is going to be able to do the super survivability, the quickness of your units, or the dirty tricks that the dwarves can pull off that I just spoke about. You have to really think about what you can do to mimic those sort of abilities. And that's going to be it for me, guys, today. If you have any other suggestions of how to make your units really survivable, let me know in the comment section below. If you disagree with what I've said today and that it's not going to work like that, or you don't see it happening that way, let me know in the comments below. Again, we want to know what your thoughts are and how you think you can make infantry viable. If you think infantry are viable to begin with anyway, let us know. Why do you think that? I'd love to hear it. I'd love to see people's opinions. But on that note, guys, thank you very much for listening to me today, and I'll see you next time.
Remember to tag your friends and like, subscribe and share. Then head over to triplecrownwargaming.com and become a Knight of the Realm today.
What are you doing, mate?
Are you alright? Do it for Warhammer!